teachings of Don Juan by Carlos Castanera, I think it was. There was a passage in it, like, this guy was studying anthropology, and he was doing his thesis or paper or whatever for school, and he went and immersed himself into an Indian tribe and apprenticed himself to their shaman and learned from their shaman the ways of the wisdom of the tribe. And he talked about how so many people that studied anthropology would study groups of people in their natural habitat and watch them and take notes and observe, but not immerse themselves and interact. They would try to maintain an object-subject distance so that they can maintain their objectivity and their impartiality. And the guy, the narrator of the book, talked about how they didn't understand these people, that they were like, that they didn't immerse themselves in it, they weren't transformed by it, and they didn't understand it, and they didn't connect to it. That they could never understand because of the way that they were doing things. And it had parallels to Plato's cave, where Plato talked about a bunch of philosophers in a cave that can only look forward, and the world is happening behind them, and it's casting shadows on the wall, and they have no capacity to interact with the shadows on the wall. They can't touch the shadows on the wall. They can't interact with the shadows on the wall. They can't talk to the shadows on the wall. They can't transform or be transformed by the shadows on the wall. And they see the shadows on the wall and they think they see reality, but they don't. Reality is happening behind them. Reality is all back here happening behind them, and they just see the shadows on the wall and they don't have a clue. I talked about this, and people had like what amounted to a philosophical disagreement with me on this, and they argued about it, and they tried to show whether their way or my way was right and all this sort of stuff, to understand someone by observing them, by watching them, to see what they do, to see them. And I always actively rejected that. To me, it was like, immerse yourself in it, connect to it on a visceral level, be transformed by it and transform them and have a connection. And that was like a core part of my philosophy. To watch and judge and take notes and have opinions, but to actually go in and be immersed in it and to be transformed by it and have a connection to it. A primal, real connection to it. And people like, which way is right? Whose way is right? If you took all those philosophers in Plato's cave and you asked them to have a vote on what the truth was, they would all agree. They could all reassure each other that they understood the truth, because they're all seeing the same shadows on the wall. And I think, really, when I try to defend my position, the wisdom of my position, I think really it might be more important to talk about the relationship between the people that are observing the tribe and the tribe itself. Now, these people, these anthropologists that are maintaining their objectivity, they're maintaining their emotional distance, They're not being transformed by what they're observing, but they're watching and they're studying and they're taking notes. A good question would be, after these cultural anthropologists have finished taking their little notes and observing everybody and building this profile, what kind of a relationship do they have with those Indians? Like, now that they've finished their little study, what kind of relationship do they have with these people? None. What is the value of their study? To go away and talk to other people about what they saw. Do they have any connection of any kind with these people that they've been studying? No. Is there a possibility that down the line these cultural anthropologists that are watching can later have a relationship with these people? No. These cultural anthropologists that tried to maintain their cool distance and maintain their boundaries and not be transformed, but to watch and to study and to see these people, they will never, ever get to have a relationship of any kind at any point ever with these people that they've studied. There is zero chance that that will happen. If you watched my video called Cuck, you might be tempted to think that I went fucking haywire and flew off the fucking handle and was like fucking crazed with anger and shit. You might be tempted to think that. But that's not what happened. What actually happened was that I asked her. I had a feeling. I had an instinct. And I saw his picture on Facebook. I can't remember why or how I happened to see his picture on Facebook. And something clicked in my head. And I turned and I said, "Did you fuck him?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "I wanted to break up with you, but I didn't have the strength to do it. And I wanted to hurt you as badly as I possibly could, to do something that would make you never forgive me, so that you would end the relationship. Because I think our relationship needs to end, but I don't have the strength to do it." She told me in plain English that even though I had told her clearly that I was willing to part ways in a way that left us with our dignity and our respect, that I would work overtime hours to make sure that we didn't split what we had, but we both had a sofa set, we both had a bedroom set, we both were set up. And she rejected that and went out of her way to hurt me as badly as she possibly could. Not just in a way that would hurt my respect for myself and emasculate me, but also to publicly humiliate me and to degrade herself, and also to violate the engagement vows of another person, another woman out there who doesn't know that her fiance is sleeping with my common law wife. And it was a cold rage that I walked over to where he was. I knew where he was. There was a flop house with 20 people living in it. They called themselves freegans. They ate garbage out of dumpsters. There were panhandlers. I think some of them were students that were like, "This is the cheapest place that I could find to live to save as much money as possible." But most of them were bums or vagrants or losers or addicts, and just, it had like a hippie kind of a vibe going on, but they're eating garbage. And that was where he was. There were no keys to any doors. It's not like all 20 of these people had keys. The doors were always open. You walk into the place. It's like a derelict building, basically, really, in truth. And that was where he was, Mr. Hammock Man. And I walked over there. I wasn't like, I was walked across town to where he was. And she wanted to protect him from me. And she walked beside me. And this was the end of our relationship. And we both knew it. And we both knew that I wasn't going to do what she had done. Because I wasn't that kind of man. That it wasn't about what she did. That she deserved it. It was about what kind of a man I am. And we walked and we talked calmly. With that, like, the relationship is over. Something explosive is about to happen. We're watching a fuse burn down. And there's this calm acceptance of it. Because we both know that the fuse is burning down, that an explosion is about to happen, and there's nothing that's going to change it. And we talked calmly. And then when we got close to the place where he was, she ran. She darted. And she took a shortcut because she knew the area, because she'd been hanging out with these fucking people and fucking him. So she took a shortcut. And she got there split seconds before I did and warned him that I was coming. And I walked in there like fucking Jason Voorhees. It was like, I'm not running and freaking out. I'm like walking like the Terminator, calmly. And they're panicked animals, darting this way, darting that way, exhausting themselves with their fear. Their fear exhausts them. Their dartingness exhausts them. And I'm just methodically walking. And he fled into the night with no shoes on in the snow, like a coward, running through the snow with no shoes, because she got there a split second ahead of me and warned him I was coming. I went in there to look for him, and one of the guys there saw me as a home invader and broke a chair over my head. And I looked at him calmly, and I thought to myself, you see me as a home invader, you got a bunch of hippie women here, and you feel like you're being protective of your people, and you see me as, and I understand your position, and even though you just broke a chair over my head, I'm not going to take my anger out on you. I understand your position, and you haven't wronged me. For a split second, I was tempted to pick him up and throw. I was tempted to, because he broke a chair over my head. But I maintained my calmness. In my cold rage, I was calm. And I didn't throw him off the balcony, even though he broke a chair over my head, because I understood his position. And I walked away from him. I turned my back on him and continued to look for the guy that I came there to fucking find. So, if you think that it's some sort of this guy's fucking crazy and he flies off the handle and shit, it isn't like that. It isn't like that at all. When you take it upon yourself to try to fix somebody, not a clear sign that you hate them. Am I wrong? Am I correct? Like if you think that someone's broken and they haven't asked you for help, they don't consider themselves to be broken, they don't consider themselves to be flawed, they don't consider themselves to be bad or wrong. They're happily living their life and doing their own thing. And you come along and you try to fix them. That's clear evidence that you, right? Like the desire to fix them is synonymous with the desire that you see the intricacy of what they are and their complexity, and you want to fucking soft mold of clay, and then you want to create something with it. Like the fact that you're trying to fix them is clear evidence that you weren't willing to just go off and find a piece of clay. You wanted to fucking take this complex thing turn it into clay and then create something with it. Because you want it, you want to turn it into that. You're not even willing to walk away from it and let it be. You have to turn it into something else. You try to help people change, try to fix people. That means you're fixated on them. You don't want to understand them. You don't want to connect to them. You don't even want to admire their beauty. You want to, because, and that's why you want to fix them. That's why you want to help them. Some fucking Jim Bro douchebag leaving comments on my channel. I'd like to say to you, not only do I have the capacity but also I have made huge contributions to bringing medicine and food to the women and the children. And because I lack the capacity to be discriminatory, I also brought food and medicine to you. I wasn't able to bring it to just there and not bring it to you. So I brought it to you too. I'm gonna fucking repeat that for you. Not only do I have the capacity, I have also made huge contributions and played a pivotal role in bringing medicine and food to the women and the children, and also to my brothers, the practical, hard-working men who keep the world alive and keep the fucking machine running. And unfortunately, I also brought it to you. So go fuck yourself. I had a lot of guys give me nods, people giving me free coffee, people doing little things to be nice to me and to show respect for me and help me out in little ways as I move through the community. I just want to reiterate that I fucking, but the only reason this channel exists is because I'm in misery and pain and lonely and poor. And I'm completely fucking isolated, completely fucking emasculated. Nobody if I was with my woman, my petite, happy, cheerful little woman that will give me blowjobs and make me sandwiches and has high energy and someone that makes me feel happy and makes me smile at their energy when I'm with them. Someone fun. If I had that, I wouldn't talk to any of you. I wouldn't post videos on the internet. You'd see me just walking down the street with a smile on my face, but I wouldn't have any desire to interact with you. I don't have any desire to communicate to you. I don't have any desire. I'm just miserable and depressed and lonely. This all comes from a place of hate. All these videos, they all come from hate. That if I was a happy person, if I had a wife, someone that I find sexy and fun and high energy that makes me feel happy to be alive, if I had a soft body in my bed, someone to have breakfast and supper with, someone cute and cheerful and fun and funny and stylish and energetic and the kind of person that I love, the kind of person that I need, someone that can, with high energy, Someone that's happy and cheerful and always has optimism and the glass is half full and anything is possible. Someone fun. If I had that, this channel wouldn't exist. I wouldn't have anything to say. I'd just be happy. So I just want you to know that we don't have a personal connection. You people out there in the internet, I don't have a personal connection to you. I want my life to be exclusively consist of personal connections. I don't want anybody to know anything about me except that they were there the day that we did these things together. My life used to consist exclusively of personal relationships. I had no reputation. I had people that would speak highly of me and give me good references. I had people that I had personal relationships that thought highly of me. But I didn't have anybody out there that had an opinion about me that wasn't based on a personal relationship that they had with me. And I liked it that way. And I will never have that again. I will never have that again. I will never walk through a world where there's only two types of people. There's strangers and the people I have personal relationships with. That's how it was for me. And I liked it that way. And I'll never have that again. And I hate all of you. I hate all of you. And I will never, ever feel anything but hate again. I just want you to understand that I don't care about any of you anymore. That I genuinely for you. And the reason that I is because there's so many people out there that have opinions about me that are not based on a personal relationship. And just the fact that you know my name makes me, and that will never change. I want that to be clear, that I do. And I will never love anybody again. I will never respect anybody again. I will feel nothing but hate the rest of my life. I want you to know that I don't even want to have sex with him anymore. I don't even want to have sex with him. I don't find him attractive anymore. Like, I don't want to have sex with him. I don't. They used to feed me energy. They made me feel attractive, interesting. They trusted me. They were open with me. They expressed themselves to me. They were happy and fun and bouncy and bubbly and cute and sexual. They let me lead. I was powerful. I had money, style, control. I knew what was going on around me. I was in control of my social environment. I was aware of the realities of the social situation I was in. And I loved women. But I don't anymore. I just hate them. I really am, genuinely. I really am. I just lies, all the games. Power games and respect and all this shit. I really want to go to Texas and come back up here to Canada. Right. I never thought that I would end up like this. And this is how it is. I've been slandered so many times in so many ways. So many things that they've accused me of. I worked really hard to be a decent man. Kind and gentle with women, but firm and able to take control of them, and good in the bedroom, and a good protector and a good provider. Even keeled and laid back and chill until it was time to step up, at which point the family mask falls off and the monster comes out. And the women and children hide behind me and feel safe as I fucking so much that they leave without there needing to be any violence. I had a long string of people who said, yeah, we worked with him. He did really good work. We paid him well. He delivered excellent value. The project was successful. The company is still doing well. We've grown since then, but we wouldn't be where we are today if it wasn't for the fact that we had the opportunity to have a working relationship with him, and we have nothing but good things to say about him. That used to be my reality. I wasn't the guy that people gossiped about, talked shit about behind his back, and accused of moral turpitude. I was the guy that was a little crazy, it seemed. A little overwhelming. You go into our house and there's plants and animals and bookcases and robots and musical instruments, 40 musical instruments scattered around the house, and art fucking everywhere, loud, in your face art. And there's children and love. I was known for my hospitality. I was always known for my hospitality. That was one of the things right up until my whole life fell apart when Selena took my kid away. I was known for my hospitality. I'm proud of my hospitality. When people came in my home, it was just, I was never the kind of guy that wanted to go to bars and parties and hang out at other people's houses and go and socialize. I was the guy that people came to visit. I was the guy that was hospitable. I don't know how things went so wrong. I can't think of any of these good things. I take a moment, reminisce about these fond memories. And then I remember that there's been nothing but anguish and pain from these people for years since then. I remember that it ended badly. I remember that every interaction that I've had since then has been defined by negativity and contempt and anger and pain and fear and confusion. I can't have everything in the past. It's just every happy memory that I have, every fond memory that I have of every single person that I've ever had a relationship with, they're all poisoned. I want to be able to think fondly of something. I want to be able to remember something good about something, to have some kind of happy memory in my life, but I don't have any. Because every single fucking good memory that I have, I can like feel good for a little while because I narrow in on it, and then I remember the way they treated me at the end, the way they've treated me since then, and it just makes me wanna. This makes. I just. I just. All the people out there whose hearts I've broken over the last 7 years. You shouldn't have stood up to me. It amazes me, you know. It's like a stereotype. It's like that women want a man that will listen to them. That's like a stereotype. That's like a cliche. That's in every fucking romantic comedy that was ever made to appeal to a female market. That women want a man that will listen. And I like to listen. I like to listen. I've got all this stuff in my head that I don't want to think about and I don't want to talk about. And it's nice to just sit across the table from some cute woman with high energy and a positive attitude and just listen to her run her mouth off like a little bird. I really enjoyed that. That they'd be super excited and high energy and animated, and they just talk. And it's like they make entire romantic comedies about how women just want a man that will listen. And that's what I was. A man that liked to listen. I liked sitting across the table, eating a meal, and just listening to them go blah 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 blah, little birds, high energy little birds. How cute they are, and they make you smile, and their energy's infectious. And they won't talk to me. They go out of their way to not open up to me at all and try to draw me out. I don't understand. I think they really just want to make men miserable. I think they really just want to make men miserable. They spend all their time talking about how they want a man that will listen because most men don't want to. And when they find me, a man that likes to listen, a laid back, easygoing, chill guy that just likes to listen, enjoy comfort and pleasure, and they won't talk to me. They go out of their way to wall themselves off as much as possible and try to draw me out to get me to open up. I don't want to. Like, I loved women. I loved listening to them talk like little birds, blah 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 blah. Their high energy and their enthusiasm, and I was just like the strong, silent guy that just takes care of problems but doesn't feel the need to dominate every single fucking little thing like my father did. My father grew up in the engine room of a ship, and everything had to be perfect or the ship crashes into the rocks or whatever. I'm not like that at all. I actually like just keep an eye on everything, and as long as everything's okay, then let them do their thing. You know, I don't feel the need to control every little thing about everybody. I just needed to be able to take control when I needed to. But other than that, I was really chill. I just like to listen. If you have a cool idea, I'm like, sure, that sounds cool. I don't have a whole lot of ideas in my head. My plans take 10 years to realize. I'm not impulsive. I don't have that in me. But I like being around that. Someone cheerful and high energy and impulsive with those crazy ideas. I love that. Why don't I get to have that? I worked really hard. I made all the right sacrifices. Why do I have to put up with it? Why couldn't I have that? They won't let me love them. They won't let me love them. Some women are lovers. Some women are fighters. You ever see that video about the protesters down in South America where the stout old man with the white hair is trying to drive through and there's a bunch of protesters in the way fighting for what they believe in? And he just I like that old man. I talked to F. Tropicoga about my dreams. Back when I was still working for Shopify and I thought I was going to be rich. I wanted to buy land. I wanted to build a house. I wanted to build a food forest, a perennial forest ecosystem composed entirely of food-bearing plants on my land. I wanted to have a bunch of children. And I know that when people are away from the city, they can get strange. I'm from the East Coast. I know that people can get strange when they're alone in the woods. They become peculiar. So I wanted to make sure that didn't happen. I wanted to protect against that. I wanted to build a bunch of little cottages. I wanted to have an artist retreat. That was my goal. That was how I wanted to live out my final days on earth. I wanted to buy land. I wanted to build a house. I wanted a wife, car, bunch of kids, home office, music room, little field, a little pavilion in it, so that you can get up on stage and play music. And people can dance barefoot in the grass. I wanted my food forest, covering the land, and then have little paths wandering through, and a little cottage here, and a little cottage there, and a little cottage here, and a little cottage there. So that artists, creative type people, painters, musicians, sculptors, writers, poets, could come to get away from the hustle and bustle and the craziness of the city and go to a tranquil place where they could be in a beautiful natural environment, have some privacy. They won't be surrounded by kids and everything like that. You know, it's not going to be like a vacations place where I got a bunch of kids running around stomping on my vegetables and I'm having to like deal with problems and shit. My kids is fine, but I don't want to run a vacation spot. I don't want to be working at Disneyland. I don't want Disneyland in my backyard. So I wanted to have an artist retreat. And then these artists could like go to their cottage and do what their creativity, and then they could go wander around and bump into each other and have happy little accidents and collaborations. And I wanted to set things up so that I could have like a basket delivery service for the food that grows in my food forest. This week, apples and cherries are in season, and we got lots of them. Next week, it's grapes and whatever. You know, whatever happens to be fresh and seasonal and ready to pick that day. Pick a bunch of it, put it in a basket, ship it off to market. And I wanted to hire elderly people to do that for me. Elderly, retired people. Young people aren't going to want to do that. And I didn't want to ship in immigrants from other countries. I wanted to like hire elderly people. Just come to our place, wander around at your own pace in the peaceful tranquility and the beauty of nature, and just pick at your own pace. No rush, no pressure, and then take everything that you've collected and drop it off and go home and eat whatever you want while you're here to provide employment and a meaningful existence and something productive to do. And so I could have old people wandering around, not a lot of them, just a few, give them a job, give them something to do, and have a bunch of kids and just live my life like that. That was my dream. I didn't want to be a fucking hero. I didn't want to be a hero. I'm a natural leader. When I step into a group, I naturally, I don't dominate everybody around me. I don't go, we're doing this and you're I don't do that. But when I'm in a group, everybody's talking and brainstorming and thinking and whatnot. And then there'll be like a moment where everybody's like, I don't know what to do. And I step into the power vacuum and I get everybody organized and I lead them. Because that's who I am. I'm a natural leader. When I have job interviews, the interviewer doesn't run the show. I do. I take control of the interview. It's like I'm interviewing them and not the other way around. That's who I am. I'm an alpha. I'm a natural born leader. If I'm allowed to be involved in a group and we're working together on something, I naturally take the lead. I just can't help it. I get impatient. The tension builds in the air. If I'm in a group of people and there's like this lull and nobody knows what to do and there's tension in the air, that tension pushes me to act. I have to lead. I can't sit there. Everyone else is sitting there. I don't know what to do. 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 And the tension builds on me. And I'm like, I can't take the tension. I have to step forward and lead. That's what makes me a leader. It's not because I have some fucking drive to dominate others. I don't want the responsibility. I don't want that. But I am a natural alpha, a natural leader. When I step into a room, when I step into a group, when I'm part of a team, I always end up being the guy that takes control and takes the lead. Because no one else there is able to do it. It's not because I'm crave it. It's because everyone else is just sitting on their hands, and I can't handle it. The tension builds and I can't handle it. I wasn't meant to be alone. I wasn't meant to have a partner. I wasn't meant to deal with passive aggressive games and mind games and psychology and shit. My life just turned into a fucking hellish nightmare. My life turned into a fucking hellish nightmare. I just wanted a family. I didn't want to be a hero. I didn't want to be a hero. People thought I was going to save them. People thought I was going to save them. You know why I didn't save you? Because you wouldn't let me lead. You wouldn't let me lead. That's why I couldn't save you. I know that you expected me to save you. You wouldn't let me lead. I couldn't save you. I can't even save myself. Last time my daughter came to visit me, there was a morning where she had to go hungry. She didn't get to have any breakfast. There was a transit strike going on. The entire city of Halifax was completely shut down. There were no buses, no public transportation. People couldn't get to work. People couldn't get to school. People couldn't get to university. Businesses shut down. Schools shut down. The city was like it was January or February. It was cold. I can't remember exactly when it was, but it was cold. And there was a transit strike. And I had to work from home. I didn't have much food in the house. I had to go and get some food. I had to go to the store. And my daughter slept in until, 10 o'clock. And I was sitting, like she didn't want to sleep in her bed in her bedroom. because she felt lonely. It was a new house, and she felt lonely, and she wanted to sleep in the bed with me. And I was single. My common-law wife and I had been broken up. So I said, that's okay. Throw on some sweatpants and a t-shirt and some queen-size bed. It's not like I'm spooning my kid, right? Like, she didn't want to be alone. So I wake up and I'm lying in bed and I'm doing on the computer. And my daughter wakes up and she's hungry. And I don't have anything. And I mean, it's not like I'm some irresponsible piece of shit, right? Like there was a transit strike. The whole city was in chaos. I had to work remotely from home. And I had to focus on my stuff. I had meetings, I had things to do. And then when lunchtime came, we walked over to the store and we got a bunch of groceries and food, and I fed her. Apparently this made a huge impact on her, because my sister, when she wrote her filled letter to the court to try to fucking have me locked up for the rest of my life, talking about what a piece of shit I was, she mentioned that incident in her letter to the court, trying to slander my reputation. That incident where she didn't get to have any breakfast one day, and it was only one day, it wasn't a pattern of behavior, it was one day. That was such a fucking vile thing that I don't deserve to be with my kid, because I neglected my kid, I didn't love my kid, I didn't care for my kid. Because one day, while I had to work from home remotely during a transit strike, on one particular day, she had to do without breakfast. My daughter must have talked to my sister or my mother. She must have talked to them about it. And they must have inflated it and inflated it and inflated it and inflated it. But, you know, you can't trust anything that they say about me. It's a matter of public record. I'm going to get my hands on the transcript. There's a hearing that I participated in with lawyers and judges, and there was an investigation done. And I'm going to get my hands on the transcript, and I'm going to read some chunks of it. There was a passage there where they talked about how I thought people were conspiring against me. And then my lawyer said, well, to be fair, Your Honor, they conducted an investigation and they discovered that both his father and his sister made blatantly false statements, that they lied to the police and told the police that Ian had schizophrenia. They told the police that he'd been diagnosed with schizophrenia when he was in Halifax. And they told the police that he'd been diagnosed with schizophrenia when he was in Vancouver. And people believe that, because why would they lie? And it took years for a proper investigation to be done. And when that investigation was carried out, it was conclusively determined that I wasn't diagnosed with schizophrenia in Halifax, that I wasn't diagnosed with schizophrenia in Vancouver, that I don't have schizophrenia, that these are blatant lies done with the intent to destroy me. Blatant lies. And my lawyer was like, to be fair, Your Honor, they are conspiring against him, and the evidence is right here. The doctors conducted an investigation years later than they should have, and it is a matter of fact that they are conspiring against him. So he isn't paranoid, and he isn't schizophrenic. He is actively being conspired against by the people that are supposed to care about him the most. I'll get my hands on the transcript and I'll read you the precise words. But the real gist is that you can't fucking trust anything that they say about me, because they're a bunch of fucking liars. They hate me because I'm a family man. That's why they hate me, because I'm a family man. Have you ever read any of the stuff on the internet about like being a player? They use terms like negging and stuff like that. Trying to manipulate a woman's ego level if she has a high opinion of herself and she's used to having people shower her with compliments, then you gotta be different and chip away at her ego and make her want to prove herself. But if she's like got low self-esteem and she's a mousy little thing that doesn't know how pretty she is, then you feed her ego and she's starved for that. She envies all the women that get it. She doesn't think she deserves it, so when you give it to her, she'll be addicted to it. All that sort of stuff. I don't do that. Never done that. I'm always sincere. People accuse me of being a player, but I never was. I'm always sincere. I've had women try to lie to themselves and tell themselves that I don't mean what I say, that I'm just manipulating them. But I do mean what I say. If I don't like you, then I don't fucking like you. If I like you, then I like you. I don't play with people. I don't manipulate people. I shoot from the hip. I say what I think. Sometimes I keep it to myself. But I don't say things I don't mean. All she had to do was suck my dick and make me a sandwich and spend the night in my bed. I talked in one of my other videos about how my last common law wife, every single relationship that she had prior to mine, she and they ended up being arrested because and I was the only one. I feel grateful that I didn't get my hands on the guy that she cheated on me with, because I know that and I would have been locked up for a long time. And it's good that he escaped before I. But the reason I'm making this video is because it just occurred to me. I think that when I Aaron, I broke her. I had never had that thought until 30 seconds before recording this. And I have no way to confirm its truth. But I suddenly, intuitively know with a certainty that by common law wife, I broke her. That Hearn makes videos. I don't want to say he makes a lot of videos, but he's made more than one video about how to tell if someone knows how to fight. If he takes off his shirt and his shoes, if he wants to fight you bare-chested and barefoot, he knows how to fight. I'm a 49-year-old man, and outside of whatever my daughter and my descendants might do with their lives and what I might do in the future, I know conclusively, without question, the moment when my actions and choices had the largest impact on the world. I can precisely tell you the moment, the most influence that I ever had over the fate of the human race, the species. I like the word species. Race is a word that's thrown around so casually. I know the moment that I had the greatest impact on the species. And I know the period of time when I had the greatest impact on the species. I was working for a company called Foreign Exchange Translations, which later merged with other companies. But if you look it up on the internet and you understand that they were involved in medical translations, you'll find a Wikipedia article and you'll be able to track the progression of mergers that obscure what I did. And I didn't meet with the CEO and CIO, CTO. I met with the CEO and CTO, but it wasn't the CEO and CTO of Pfizer. It was the CEO and CTO of Wyeth Corporation. Wyeth Corporation merged with Pfizer, and Pfizer was the smaller company. But after the merger, Wyeth Corporation merged with Pfizer. They owned both names, and focus group testing revealed that Pfizer tracked better. So the new conglomerate was called Pfizer, even though I worked for Wyeth, which was the much larger company. So when I say to you that I met with the CEO and the CTO of Pfizer, I'm not a liar. I'm just streamlining the story. And I'm not being deceptive. I'm just trying not to lose your attention and bore the shit out of you so that your eyes glaze over and you wish I would go away because I'm such a bore. I'm not trying to be deceptive. I just don't want to bore the shit out of you with the minutiae, because I know you don't really want to hear it, and if you do want to hear it, you'll ask. I had a meeting with the CEO and the CTO of Wyeth Corporation. I was working for a company that employed 1,500 translators who worked remotely from their home office all around the world. And all of them knew at least 2 languages. And all of them had something in their background that made them qualified to translate medical jargon. Whether they were a nursing background, or a veterinarian background, or a biology background, or a doctor background, whatever it was that they were all qualified to translate medical jargon and were fluently bilingual, and there were more than 1,500 of them. And it was my job to understand the needs of them, the needs of the executive, the needs of the management, the needs of the clients, the needs of the people, and the requirements of the government, which was massive and highly complex. And I had a meeting. It was me, the president of the company that I worked for, not one of the senior executives that I usually talk to, but the president and the CEO and the CTO of Wyeth Corporation. And we were talking on the telephone. And it was my responsibility to convince Wyeth Corporation, which is now called Pfizer, that I could take this geo-distributed team and integrate them so precisely and properly and fluidly, and they wanted to feel like our team was on the next floor down of their office building. That was their requirement. They had to be able to feel like the people in our geo-distributed team were on the next floor of the building. And I had to build the technology to deliver that in the early 2000s while working from my home office in my apartment in Halifax. That was a big meeting, and I had to not choke. That was the danger. I have the shit. My biggest danger was not to choke. I stripped down to my underwear. I don't have any underwear, so I'm not going to take these off. I stripped down to my underwear, and I rolled myself a fucking doobie. And I held it in my hand like a security blanket, like Linus in the Peanuts cartoons from Charlie Brown and Snoopy, with his little blanket to make him feel safe. I had my joint in my hand, and I had my beer in my hand, and I put them on speakerphone, and I paced around my living room to bleed off the anxious energy from this extremely pivotal meeting that was going to touch the lives of the entire species for years to come. And I talked to them as I drank my beer in my underwear in my living room in Halifax with my joint in my hand, unlit. So I waved around to nobody like a baton as I spoke. And I convinced them that I could and would deliver the technology that they needed to bring medicine to the entire human race. And the president let me fucking run with the ball because I was in the fucking zone. I handled all their questions. I knew exactly what the right answer was because I was relaxed. And then I did what I said I could do. I worked tirelessly. And I built what I promised I could build. I did what I said I could do. I built the technology I promised I could build. Thank you. Here's the cash. And I brought medicine to the entire human race. That was the moment beyond what I might do in the future and what my descendants might accomplish. That was the moment when I touched the lives of every single human being on earth. I got to do that. I got to do that. You can, yeah, fucking die. You can fucking back. And when I fucking look at you, I will think to myself, you fucking stupid fucking schmuck. It was bound to happen. One of you was bound sooner or later. You fucking. I brought you medicine, motherfucker. You fucking want to. My daughter is the kind of fucking woman that a man will cherish, and my descendants will thrive. I'm a fucking winner. My descendants will thrive in the world that I fucking built. So you can. 'Cause I did something fucking important. And you can't fucking take that from me because you're a beneficiary of it. And if you laugh at you, because that'll be the most important thing you ever did.
With that being said, as always, stay fun, stay positive, and stay perfect. Love you guys.